So one of the games I was looking forward to the most in the month of July for the Nintendo Switch is the new Ninja Turtles game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. As someone who has been a fan of the Ninja Turtles really ever since their inception, I've always enjoyed checking out the new games in the franchise because I mean, it's Ninja Turtles. You know, kids still like Ninja Turtles. You know why? Because they're cool, and their games are usually fun, and I just like Ninja Turtles. So when the company behind Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to take a sponsored early look at the game, I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I was going to play the game anyways, but I'll check it out early. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So today we're going to be taking a look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate, which will be coming out on the Nintendo Switch on July 17th to see if this is a game that you would be interested in. So if this is your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's talk about this game, because when you're talking about a Ninja Turtles game, you got to talk a little bit about the story. What is happening? Why are things happening? Well, this is a brand new story written by comic book author Tom Waltz and Kevin Michael Johnson, taking place within the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe. Basically, Splinter's been captured. Who captured him? Seems like it's Shredder. Baxter Stockman is also working with him. And so you're basically setting out in order to rescue Splinter from Shredder and, of course, restore order to the world of the Ninja Turtles. It's a cool story, and one thing that I actually really like about the story is how it plays out. Because, like I said, this is a roguelike game, and in case you are unfamiliar with what that type of gameplay is, basically it means that no matter how good you are at the game, the first time you play it, you're not going to beat the game because your character is a bit of a weaker character. You have to level them up with things like permanent upgrades and temporary upgrades that you get throughout the game, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But one thing I like about the story is how it's conveyed through these elements. A lot of roguelike games don't actually do that. There's no story elements that take place in between. So if you accomplish something in the game, you don't necessarily learn more so about the world that you're in. Whereas in this game, you're constantly getting new dialogue options with people like Metalhead and, of course, April O'Neil. You're getting information from Splinter himself using some telepathy thing. Like, it's actually very well done, and it makes this game a lot more enjoyable than a lot of other roguelikes was for me. I really like the story. I love learning about different things, and the presentation of the game really lends into the story as well, as it has full voice acting, not only just for the Ninja Turtles, but for pretty much every character. Shredder, Splinter, April, everyone is talking to you. Metalhead's talking to you. It's very well done. It's very well done in terms of the story. And yeah, it's not the deepest story in the world, but it's a traditional Ninja Turtle story with some interesting twists and turns. Now, of course, you have to talk about the gameplay since this is a roguelike game. And what I really like about it is kind of how this game plays out. So essentially, no two runs are really ever going to be the same because you always get randomized power-ups, randomized enemies, and randomized mini-bosses every time you play throughout the game. Now, of course, you're basically out there picking your Ninja Turtle, all of which has different strengths and weaknesses. Of course, there's Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael, and Leonardo. And you could basically kind of tailor suit them to your playstyle by getting these upgrades. Every time you clear a room, you get the chance to choose some different upgrades. Now, these upgrades will be temporary just for the run you're doing here, but you're constantly acquiring different types of currency in the game that you then use to get different sorts of permanent upgrades. The two main types that you'll come across the most are Dragon and Dreamer coins. Now, Dragon coins basically boost up different things like your health, your attacks, your dash attacks, stuff like that. And Dreamer coins kind of do different things for the runs that you have in and of themselves, such as like the ability to get more Dreamer and Dragon coins by clearing a room, or having an advantage of, you know, getting additional drops from certain enemy types like Mousers and stuff like that. It's actually really cool, and utilizing these coins to sort of tailor suit your gameplay style to figure out, you know, what you're kind of struggling in. It really makes the game like super fun, and it's very interesting how these actually play a massive role. It's not just some sort of aesthetic thing, it's something you actually feel when you play throughout the games. I really like these permanent upgrades, and I really like the temporary ones as well, because it kind of gives you a look at basically how the other turtles play and what sort of things that you might want to use from them. So like you can choose different turtle abilities when you clear out a room and then use it for the turtle that you are currently using to sort of change up your gameplay style. It makes every single run that you have with this game feel very different than the run you just had previously if you decide to choose different things. Now there's another currency called scrap currency that basically there's a guy that you meet pretty much in the middle of the level and you could change some things up. You can get some health, you could get an additional ability from him as well. It's nicely done, you know, it's another sort of balancing act. Do you want to focus on getting scrap, which will be for your current run and in the temporary sort of stage that you're in, or do you want to play the long game and get dreamer coins? Because you have the choice after clearing certain rooms in order to do that. Now, there is a wide variety of different Ninja Turtles characters that you encounter, many classic ones that I definitely enjoy. I've, of course, mentioned Metalhead and April. There's Leatherhead as a boss. There's, of course, Bebop and Rocksteady. There's some other characters that you come across within this game as well, but I'll just leave that up to you to find it. I really like what they're doing with this, though. You know, it's very fun, and it's very satisfying to play the game, and then it never really feels like, you know, a chore or anything like that. It actually feels fun to do another run and try out different things and upgrade different things to see what really works for you. Now, there's multiple ways to play this game as well. You can, of course, play single player, and there's two different difficulty options. There's the normal and then the easy difficulty. I have pretty much focused on the normal difficulty because, I mean, I'm a normal guy, I guess. You can also play the game in couch co-op, which allows you to play, of course, on a single Nintendo Switch with up to 4 different players, and there's online multiplayer as well that allows you to play up to 4 players by sharing a run code that then people can access your room. What I like about the couch co-op is you can actually use a single Joy-Con for it as well, which is really handy. So if you have someone that comes over and they're like, yo, let's play this new Ninja Turtles game. Like, you don't have to have an additional controller. You can use a single Joy-Con, and it actually works pretty well. When it comes to the graphics and audio of the game, like I said, everything is fully voice acted, and it all sounds like really good. Like, I was actually impressed with the amount of voice acting that was in this game. I expected there to be more text bubbles and stuff like that, but no, everything is fully voice acted. All of the characters sound really good. They sound like they should, and I think the graphics of the game are pretty well done as well. You know, it's not the most beautiful looking game in the world, but there is a decent variety in the types of enemies. There's lots of effects that are happening on levels as well. The levels themselves are all sort of classic Turtles locations. You, of course, have the sewers, you have the city, you have all sorts of stuff. I mean, New York City plays such a huge role in the Turtles franchise, and there's actually a new mode that's been added into the Nintendo Switch version of this game, as this did release originally on Apple Arcade, that allows you to choose whether you want higher performance or higher graphics. There's a graphical fidelity mode that limits the game to 30 frames per second, or there is the performance mode that's 60 frames per second with a slightly reduced visual quality. Now, for me personally, I went all the way with performance mode on this because it is a very fast-paced game. You're constantly attacking enemies, attacking bosses and stuff like that. So I wanted the optimal performance. I did mess around a little bit with the graphical mode. You know, it was fine and it did look a little better. The image looks a little bit softer in the 60 frames per second mode, but the gameplay just feels better to me. But at least there's that option with it, though. You know, it's nice to have different options when it comes to graphical modes when you're playing Switch games, especially. So I definitely appreciated that. But like, the presentation of the game is actually very well done, and really this game surprised me because I'm not the biggest fan of roguelikes. You know, usually I get kind of frustrated with them and get a bit tired, but I feel like this is a very accessible roguelike that's still deep enough to be like really fun, and, you know, sort of figuring out which turtles you prefer and which abilities you prefer and what you kind of want to focus on for your upcoming run. The fact that you can play with additional people, whether in couch co-op or online multiplayer as well, is an awesome thing. And like, this is just a super fun game. Like, it's just super fun, and I hope I get some more friends that pick this up, and so I can play it online with them, because I'd really like to see, you know, doing some runs with them, because I think that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, you know, if you're on the fence about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate, you know, this is pretty much what the game brings to the table. And if it's right for you or not, I guess you kind of have to decide. But I've been having a blast playing the game, and I'll continue to have a blast playing the game because I'm still doing additional runs. I still want more power-ups. I still want to see what else I might have missed out on. So, you know, a really good time. And I'm very thankful that they reached out to me to cover this game early because, you know, I feel like some people might not quite understand what type of game this is. And, you know, maybe for some people, when they hear the terms like roguelike and stuff like that, they get a little bit, you know, leery about the game. And usually I'm that person, but this game was definitely very, very enjoyable, and I will continue to enjoy it. Let me know what you think of this game in the comments section down below, though. Do you plan on picking it up when it comes out on July 17th? I'll have a link in the description box down below if you guys want to get some additional information on this game. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share, hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.